This is Malaysia, the most sugar-addicted country in Southeast Asia. With an average of 116 grams of sugar consumed per day and the highest diabetes rate in the region, we consume more sugar than the US and Mexico. So how did we get here? Why do Malaysians consume so much sugar? And what's being done to fix this problem? To understand Malaysia's sugar addiction, I looked at tons of papers and articles, and trust me, it ain't sweet. In 2019, the average Malaysian consumed 116 grams of sugar a day. That is more than countries like the US at 90 grams and even Mexico at 94 grams, a country which is known for its Coca-Cola addiction. But here's the real shocker. 1 in 5 Malaysians aged 20 to 79 are diabetic, double the rate of both Thailand and Singapore. Now, I can keep feeding you graphs and numbers, but at this point, it should be pretty clear that Malaysians absolutely love sugar. For example, a common phrase that is often used here when ordering drinks is kurang manis, meaning less sweet. That's how deeply ingrained sugar is in Malaysian culture. We have to actively ask for less of it. But why do Malaysians consume so much sugar? Is it just the food and drink, or is there something more to it? Let's just first understand how diverse Malaysian food is. Because we have 3 main subgroups of people here, not only do we speak different languages, we also eat different types of food. Those 3 being Malay, Chinese, and Indian cuisine. And whilst they all have their own unique flavors, there's one cuisine in particular that I've noticed uses more sugar on average compared to the other cuisines. That being Malay food. This is something I've wondered ever since I was young, because while Malay food is undeniably delicious, it's also sweeter and heavier on average. And this is not at all a coincidence. Let me show you. Looking closer into the data, you can tell that amongst all the races in Malaysia, the Malays have the highest rate of diabetes. But why is this the case? Certainly there has to be a reason for it. And thus, I scoured their internet for possible reasons, but to no avail. However, I did find 2 theoretical answers to this question, and I'd like to share them with you. The first theory points to Malaysia's colonial past. The British introduced sugar as a quick source of energy for laborers in agriculture and fishing, both jobs of which were typically done by the Malays. So sugar became a staple for hardworking Malays, essentially a reward after a long day of work. This makes sense to me because what do we usually consume after a long day of work other than alcohol? It could be ice cream, soda, or just anything sweet in general. We tend to use sugar as either a reward or to relieve stress. The second theory suggests that sugar serves as a substitute for alcohol in Malaysia's predominantly Muslim population. They suggest that just as Eastern European countries lean on alcohol, many Islamic countries like Turkey favor sweet treats like baklava. However, the original post didn't actually make any comparisons using data, so I did it myself. From what I could tell, other than Poland, which consumes 120 grams of sugar a day, every other Eastern European country does in fact consume less sugar than Malaysia. However, Turkey, which is also another Islamic nation, only consumes about 80 grams of sugar a day, which is significantly less than Malaysia. Now, all of this isn't really indicative of anything, and at the end of the day, you should just take these theories with a grain of salt. And I have to mention that this is all based off of my own perceptions and experiences, and obviously people from all races and backgrounds love to consume sugar, so it's not just exclusive to any one group. But at this point, I felt pretty tired of all the research because it wasn't really getting me anywhere. Curious if our diet really is that sugar heavy, I decided to test for myself by eating the typical Malaysian diet for a day. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know what the typical Malaysian diet is like. For breakfast, I always eat the same thing, which is just oats and some berries. As for the other meals, I either just eat at home, or if I do go out and eat, it's typically other countries' cuisines. So in order to find out the most accurate depiction of what a typical Malaysian diet is like, I enlisted the help of a little robot friend called ChatGPT. I found some of it to be a little bit inaccurate, so I made some tweaks based off of my own experiences and observations from other friends. Meal number 1, breakfast. The day started with the quintessential Malaysian breakfast, nasi lemak and teh tarik. The nasi lemak is a rice dish that is cooked in coconut milk that is rich and flavorful, but the real sugar bomb was the teh tarik. It's what we call a pull tea because you quite literally have to pull the tea while making it, and it's a sweet and creamy tea that is sometimes even paired with condensed milk for added sweetness. I couldn't find an exact amount of sugar in this drink, but the average amount seems to be around 12 to 20 grams of sugar per serving, which is about 3 teaspoons of sugar. But did it reflect on my drink? So I took a sip of the teh tarik and... wow, that's sweet. I felt like I got punched in the face by a sugar cube. Not only did it taste sweet, the flavor was so strong that it almost gave me whiplash. But then I gave it a couple more sips and something curious happened. The tea is actually not as sweet as I remember it used to be, so that's probably a plus point. The rice is the typical nasi lemak, so nothing much to add. It actually might not be that bad. I just got done with the first meal and honestly it's not as bad as I thought it would be. The tea was actually not as sweet as I expected it to be. It tasted more like half sweetness, which is a good thing. Honestly, I just feel like I want to lay down and sleep. If this is what the typical person eats for the mornings, I can't imagine what it's like for the rest of the day because the calories for this are already pretty high and there's quite a bit of sugar already. It's definitely concerning to say the least. Meal number 2, lunch. For lunch, I had a plate of nasi kandar, which is a mixed rice dish, and a cup of Malaysia's national drink, Milo. This nasi kandar here is basically just rice and then you get to pick from a wide selection of different sides. As for the Milo, I couldn't find exact numbers for it either. The Milo powder itself already has around 7.3 grams of sugar in it, which is around 1.5 teaspoons. Yet vendors here often add more and sometimes even pair it with condensed milk. So I was fully expecting it to be sweet. Whoa. Oh, wait a second. That's not as sweet as I thought. Is it just my luck? I'm not sure. To my surprise, it was nowhere near as sweet as I had imagined. It tasted about the same as how I would make it at home. Wow, this is like 3 times less sweet than what it should be. Just surprising. I mean, that's probably because they want to cut costs and save on ingredients, but still. Good job. That's actually pretty good. Right, on to the meal. I don't know if this is typical. I got 2 veggies and a fried chicken. I don't think most people choose 2 types of veggies. I like it. I can't eat anything heavier than this. This is already pretty heavy for me. Okay, so that was lunch. Other than the rice coma that I'm feeling right now because I just ate so much rice, everything was honestly not bad. When you're eating outdoors in general and you order a Milo, they add condensed milk and then on top of that they add extra sugar. But surprisingly, this one wasn't that sweet. This is already the second place today that I have tried out. It's surprisingly not that sweet, which is very, very good. Meal number 3, drink. The typical Malaysian loves to indulge in something sweet after lunch. And here, ChatGPT suggested foods like banana fritters, curry puffs, and cake desserts. However, I've never seen anyone eat these after lunch, so I changed it to something more common. I ordered some sort of a boba drink. It's called a boba mee shake. I have no idea what it is. I did not tell them to reduce the amount of sugar, so this is the normal amount. Okay, here you go. Okay, second try. Wait, what? That can't be right. This has to be some sort of fluke. Am I being played today? No, that doesn't taste right. This is like starting to mess up my video. This is the 3rd time today. It's the same as the last 2 places. This is not normal sugar. I know for a fact because I've had these before. I've made the mistake of not telling them to reduce the amount of sugar and they were so fucking sweet. I was like, nah, you know. Even sometimes I would tell them like no sugar or less sugar. It would taste more sweet than this. Why is it actually an acceptable amount of sweetness? I got really suspicious at this point because 3 drinks in and they were all less sweet than expected. These were all random places too, so there's no way this was just some sort of coincidence. So I sat in my car and did some research while gulping down some liquid diabetes, And to my surprise, I actually found some possible explanations for this, which I will reveal later in the video. I still wanted a more concise answer though, so I thought, what better way than to ask the staff themselves?
不好意思，我想问一下，你们最近饮料是不是换了什么东西？因为我发觉到好像没有以前这样甜了。
不确定他们做的时候是有放少啦。
你们也是不知道发生什么事情？
我们不懂，我们都是跟着我们的 SOP 做的啦。就是我们有放糖嘛，它是有称着放，就是有 SOP 啦，因为也是会怕太甜。
哦，你们就只是照着他们讲 SOP 这样做。如果客人跟你讲少糖的话，你们也是照着这样子去做。
我们可能就放少一点咯。
As you can see from the camera angle, it's not great. I was trying to film it, but I didn't want to make it too obvious because I was afraid that they might not want to get filmed. You know, I still got found out. She would occasionally like stare at my phone. I should have just been more honest, to be honest. I should have just asked her like, do you mind if I film? My awkwardness aside, essentially the answer I got was they don't know. Definitely curious. I don't know why. But anyways, next stop, it is. Yeah, gotta get some exercise in.
There was still quite some time before dinner, so I went to a shopping center and just chilled. Didn't really do much though other than sit on this comfy massage chair. Thankfully, I didn't get any weird stares from anyone because I was feeling pretty self-conscious about this. I mean, if I saw someone in their 20s looking like they really need that massage chair, I would be staring too, no big deal. But yeah, I've officially achieved UNC status. Eventually though, it was finally time for dinner. Meal number 4, dinner. For dinner, I kept it simple with a plate of fried rice and another round of teh tarik. Since ChatGPT didn't suggest any drinks for me, I just went for the same drink I had in the morning. At this point, it was already 3 for 5, so I was expecting it to not be sweet, and that's exactly what happened.
It tastes about the same, honestly, in terms of sweetness. I think it's ever so slightly just a bit more sweet than the one in the morning. I can handle this. And honestly, I think this one is a little less heavy. Maybe they use less milk or something, I don't know, but this one is not bad. It's not as sweet as I would expect, so I'm seeing a pattern here.
Alright, for the dinner, that was not the best fried rice I've had. It was okay, I guess. It was decent for the price. And as for the tea, again, like I said, it's not as sweet as I expected. However, before I got that drink, the waiter actually brought me a different drink. I don't know which one it is. I saw a very thick layer of condensed milk. I was like, this could be it. This could be the one that actually showcases how much sugar we have here. But sure enough, that's not mine. But still, someone ordered it. For the entire glass, I think like 20 to 30% of it was just a thick layer of condensed milk, which is frightening. For my own drink, this one was okay. So far so good, you know. They're all within acceptable levels of sweetness. I honestly didn't expect this. My plan was to showcase how all 5 drinks were really sweet, but turns out that's not the case. And still, I have no idea why that is, so.
Meal number 5, midnight snack. For the average person, this is when you usually stop eating, but for the typical Malaysian, that is not the case. Late night snacks are a staple in Malaysian culture, and it's one that we tend to enjoy with friends. Now, ChatGPT didn't even suggest this meal, but I can assure you that it is very much part of our culture. So maybe robots won't take over. At least just yet. For this meal, I didn't order anything too heavy because I was feeling pretty bloated at this point. So I got myself a roti telur and a cup of teh limau ice. The roti is similar to the typical Indian roti, just with egg inside, except we like to fry ours in oil. Very Malaysian of us to do that. The drink is just tea with some lime mixed in it. This is the drink I go for whenever I eat out, but I usually opt for no sugar. Since the last 4 drinks weren't that sweet, I was fully expecting this one to not be that sweet as well.
Okay, this one is pretty sweet. This one is, I think, the normal amount of sweetness, so they definitely did not make it less sweet. It's not like unbearably sweet, but it's definitely more sweet than I would like it to be. I think 3 of these a day and that would be diabetes for sure. As you can see, there's a couple limes in this drink, and I'm so glad they put limes in this because it makes it so much better. The lime zest adds a very nice kind of flavor to it.
Alright, and that is finally the end of the day. But yeah, surprisingly, out of the 5 drinks I had, only one of them was around normal sweetness. Don't know why. Some places, you know, it's less sweet, whereas this one, it's normal. I'm gonna go home and chill because I feel bloated and I don't like it. Yeah, that's about it.
Now at this point, I was even more confused than when I had started. Out of all 5 drinks, 4 of them were less sweet than expected, yet one of them was the typical Malaysian sweetness. And not only that, I even witnessed liquid diabetes in a cup. So what exactly is going on here? Remember how I said I was doing some research in my car while drinking boba? Here's what I found. Effective of January 1st, 2025, the sugar tax has been increased to 90 cents per 100 milliliters. This was raised from 40 cents per 100 milliliters back when they first introduced the sugar tax in 2019. On the surface, this makes total sense. If sugar is becoming more expensive, then obviously the drinks will become less sweet as well because vendors will want to save a buck. But here's the catch. This only applies to packaged drinks and not the fresh ones like what I had. It also depends on the type of beverage as well, and it doesn't even apply to food. It's all overly complicated and I'm not gonna get into the nitty-gritty, but the takeaway here is that it only applies to packaged drinks. Honestly, I have no idea what's going on. It could just be a coincidence that I had 4 less sweet drinks in a row, but at the end of the day, I think the easiest answer for this is just inflation. Or maybe consumers are just becoming more health conscious and businesses are adapting. Malaysia's sugar addiction isn't just about the food and drinks. It's tied to our culture, history, and habits. But while the road to change is long and hard, I do believe that there is hope. If we can start making changes now, however small it may be, both as a society and as consumers, we may start seeing healthier trends in the future. And that's a great thing because we all need to consume less sugar in our lives, regardless of where you're from. I know I certainly do.